Hey everyone, I am Gary of the Elysiums. Welcome back to another new CD purchases video. I think this is video 53. Could be mistaken, but I think it's 53. So we got a nice stack here, a mixture of everything, really. I got some new stuff on the top, a lot of thrift store finds, the used stuff on the bottom, all that. And we're going to get right into it. First, we have More Balls to Picasso by Bruce Dickinson. This is Bruce's 1994 release, Balls to Picasso, but it's kind of reworked, remixed, remastered. Don't really know much more by it. I'm going to throw it on to check it out. Kind of curious of why they did this. But either way, it's Bruce Dickinson. You gotta own it. Next, we got the newest from Bush, I Beat Loneliness. I'm a big fan of Bush. I liked Bush since their debut, 16 Stone. It's all black CD, which is always cool. So Bush, every album they've had was solid. I don't think any album was as good as 16 Stone or even Razorblade Suitcase, which was really good. But every album they put out has been solid. The band really only consists of Gavin Rossdale now. The only original member that remains in Bush is Gavin Rossdale. So it's basically his band. They did break up or went on hiatus in the early 2000s. Gavin Rossdale did a solo album, which was more on the pop realm. And then they got back together with Sea of Memories and have been continuing on ever since. And if you ever get a chance to see Bush live, I highly recommend it because they are really, really good live. Next is 20 Years of Five Finger Death Punch, the best of Volume 1. So I'm not a huge fan of this band. I never really gave them the time to really listen to everything. I know a few songs off here. I gotta be honest, when they came on the radio, I kind of changed them. Only because I'm not a big listener of the radio. I obviously throw CDs on when I want to listen to music. But they have the covers of Bad Company, House of the Rising Sun, Gone Away. I know they do a cover of Blue on Black, but it looks like it's not on here. So I figured I'd pick this up and give it a listen. See if the band brings me in. Next, from 2008, we have Under Oath, Lost in the Sound of Separation. Under Oath, a metalcore band. A little more towards, I don't want to say emo, but I feel like this was the metalcore band that the emo kids, it was okay for them to listen to. Like I said, 2008 release. First Under Oath album I've owned. It's okay. Not a huge fan of the band, but, don't hate the band. I will give it a couple more listens, probably listen a little bit more stuff from them. Next up, we have a box set without the box. This is Group Portrait by Chicago, a 4-disc box set. All different colors there, different spines. Basically, it's just a collection of all their songs. There's some previously unreleased stuff on here. So basically, it's from their beginning back in 1968, 1969, up until 1991. Like I said, this did come in a box, but this was at a thrift store, individually priced, and the box was missing, but it was like $2 for all 4 of them, so I figured, why not? Next, we have Thursday, another band that I know of, I'm not that familiar with. I think it's more of an emo band, which I'm not into at all, but I figured I'd check it out. This is called A City by the Light Divided. And, I'm not not saying the band's horrible or anything. I'm just not a huge fan of them. But this is me hearing them back when they were, when they first came out in the early 2000s, mid-2000s or whatever. So I figured I'd pick this up and give it a try and see what I think. So I used to not like compilations. But as of recently, when I see a cool compilation, I'm picking it up. Just because sometimes it's cool to just throw it on instead of listening to one album by one artist. You get a nice mixture. And this is just called Power Ballads. As you can see the bands on the front there. Bad English doing When I See You Smile, Sister Christian by Night Ranger, High Enough by Dan Yankees, Caught Up in You by 38 Special, Love Hurts by Nazareth, Still Loving You by Scorpions, best song on the album. What Love Can Be by Kingdom Come, To Be With You, Mr. Big, Bout of Jane, LA Guns, and then Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone by Cinderella. Some more 90s alternative indie to add to my collection. PJ Harvey with her 1998 release, Is This Desire. I somehow overlooked this. I know Rid of Me and, From the City to Sea and these other albums, and not From the City to Sea. What's that one album? The one album where it's like 2000, I think, where she's like in the street, looks like she's about to get in a car. Whatever, I forget the name of it. Something like that. To Bring You My Love was another album by her that's very, very good. But this one I somehow skipped over. I saw it and I thought it was like maybe a single or something. And I was like, how did I not remember this album? Alright, so I do listen to rap from time to time, and 90s rap, early 2000s rap, 80s rap. But now the CDs have become very hard to come by. I don't feel like they're really getting re-released. And when you see them, they're actually, pretty expensive. So when I do see them, even though some of the CDs I did have before and I ended up selling them just because I wasn't listening to them. But, here I am again with the curse. So first up is Fugees, Blunted on Reality. Obviously the Fugees had a huge, huge album with The Score, one of the biggest albums of the 90s. This is the precursor to The Score. I believe it's their first album. I don't know if they have anything before it, but I'm pretty sure it's the first. Decent album from what I remember. Not as good as The Score, but you got Lauryn Hill in there, Wyclef Jean, and Pras. Early, young, hungry. And then next up, Beanie Siegel with The Becoming. Obviously I'm from Philly. I'm a Philly fan. Beanie Siegel's from Philly, and I do remember hearing this back in the day, and I think I did have this, and I saw it, and I was like, why not? Let's pick it up. Features a bunch of different artists on here. It is on Rockefeller Records still, but again, from Philadelphia, we got Freeway and Young Chris on here. Snoop Dogg features on this, Redman, a bunch of other stuff, but I feel like most of you guys and women that watch my channel aren't huge rap fans, so here's another one that it could be it is rap, but it's kind of a huge influence, I think, in the beginning of nu metal, and a compilation I went to pick up again. This is the soundtrack for the movie Judgment Night. I've actually never seen the movie, but as you can see here, every song is a mashup of an original song mashup with a band and a rapper, or a rap group. So you got Helmet with House of Pain on here. Teenage Fan Club, which I thought was a little weird because they're more of like an indie alternative band. But De La Soul is with them, who are more of an indie alternative hip hop group in my opinion. Living Colour and Run DMC, Biohazard and Onyx. My favorite song off of this, Slayer and Ice-T doing Disorder. Faith No More and the Booyah Tribe. Not that familiar with them. Sonic Youth and Cypress Hill. Mudhoney and Sir Mix-a-Lot. Yeah, that's weird, right? Dinosaur Jr. and Del the Funky Homo Sapien. Therapy and Fatal, and then ends with Pearl Jam and Cypress Hill with The Real Thing. Eddie Vedder doesn't sing on it. It's just Be Real and Send On from Cypress Hill. Next up is probably the ultimate guilty pleasure. I don't say I have guilty pleasures because I'm not ashamed of anything I listen to, but this one is ridiculous. But it's so corny. But I remember when it came out in 1999, I couldn't stop watching the video. I was like, this is so bad, I actually like it. And I found the single because I don't need the rest of the album. It's a group called Toy Box, and the song is Tarzan and Jane. Like I said, it's absolutely ridiculous. I forget where these guys are from. They're from like Sweden or something like that. Who even says it? Oh, there is. Yeah, it was mastered in Stockholm. So maybe somewhere around there. So it's the single of the original track, a maxi version and a club version. And yes, I did listen to this today. Like I said, it's so bad it's good in my opinion. If you're not familiar with the song, I suggest going on YouTube and looking it up and watching the video, and you'll see how ridiculous it is. And again, it's a bad song, but it's so catchy. I actually like it. This was actually free, so I took it. Why not? Bananarama with the greatest hits. Obviously, they do the cover of Venus. And the other great song on here is Cruel Summer. They're the two, huge hits for him. Cruel Summer is a really good song from the 80s, 80 pop song. They also do a cover of Na Na Hey Hey Kiss Him Goodbye on here. I'm not really familiar with the other tracks on here. Like I said, I'm not a huge Bananarama fan, but I feel like Cruel Summer is a good song when I hear it. This one I thought I had in my collection, but turns out I really didn't, so I picked it up. This is Moody Blues, A Night at Red Rocks with the Colorado Symphony Orchestra. This was a 90s release. This came out in 1993. So, nothing from the early days. Let's see. We got 15 tracks on here. It's Justin Hayward, John Lodge, Ray Thomas, and Graham Edge. So, it is most of the original members on this. But anything from live at Red Rocks sounds amazing, because Red Rocks is just a natural amphitheater. And I remember going there, and it didn't seem as big as I thought it was going to be, but like you could yell and you would hear the echo, and it's the sound, the natural acoustic sounds in that is just amazing, and it's just an awesome place to see a concert. We have a late 80s album from Elton John. This is Breaking Hearts. This is, I'm sorry, it's 1984. I thought it was later. So mid 80s. Breaking Hearts. The hit single off of here was Sad Songs Say So Much. This was kind of a dark time for Elton John. He had the huge success of the 70s, but as the 80s went on, he started going down. I know he had a cocaine addiction. Too Low for Zero was a great album, probably his best album in the 80s. I feel like this is a decent album, and Sad Songs Say So Much is a good hit single. This I picked up only because it's Roger Waters. I'm probably saying this wrong. Kaira. It is a opera in 3 acts. So I don't really know if Roger even plays on this or he wrote it. He's not the conductor. But yeah, I've actually never heard of this or seen this before. Just kind of, the Spine reached out to me and I picked it up and I was like, it's $1, it's 2 discs, it's Roger Waters. You're a huge Pink Floyd fan, so why not pick it up and see what you think. So, curious if anyone knows about this or is familiar with it. What do you think? This one I actually forgot to take the wrapper off. Tower Records tribute to the Beatles. As most of you know, Beatles are probably my favorite band. It's tough to pick just one band as my favorite. So whenever I see a Beatles tribute or anything Beatles, I always pick it up. The artists on here are the Smithereens doing One After 909, Joe Cocker doing With Little Help from My Friends, which we all know that song, Johnny Rivers doing You Can't Buy Me Love, the Beach Boys doing You've Got to Hide Your Love Away, Get Back by Ike and Tina Turner, Bobby McFerrin, who had a hit single with Don't Worry Be Happy doing Drive My Car, Jan and Dean doing Norwegian Wood, Peggy Lee doing Something, The Persuasions doing Let It Be, and then Dr. John doing Yesterday. This was a 1996 release. As you see, all the artists there are basically in that time frame that the Beatles were in the 60s. Next up is another one by Van Morrison that I could add to my collection. This is Van Morrison and the Chieftains with Irish Heartbeat, 1988 release. There is the track listing there. Very, very Irish album. Basically Irish music. This will sound good on St. Patrick's Day. Still got that sticker from Goodwill in there, which is, I don't know why Goodwill does this. They're like, let's put the most impossibly hard to get off stickers on our 99-cent CDs and ruin the cases, especially a digipack. Let's do it. This one I picked up because I don't own anything by them, and I have a huge soul and R&B collection, but nothing by Solomon Burke. This is the Definitive Soul Collection, and these Rhino releases are really good. The best one, in my opinion, is the Otis Redding Soul Collection. It's really, really good. But Solomon Burke, I got into, or I really did know, and don't kill me for this, through the Rolling Stones, because the Rolling Stones covered a few of his songs, like Cry to Me and Everybody Needs Somebody to Love. What else? I feel like there's another song they might have did. If You Need Me. That's another song the Rolling Stones covers. And then there's some covers done by Solomon Burke himself, like Out of My Life Woman, Proud Mary on here. So yeah, happy to add that to my collection. And then we have Psychedelic Sunday, the best of Vanilla Fudge. Again, dollar thrift store find. This was actually right next to the debut album, which I already have, but it's amazing. One of my favorite debut albums of all time. But this one I don't have, and I was like, why not? We got a lot of tracks from the debut album, along with, other stuff from their career. But the way they interpreted the covers they did of the songs like Ticket to Ride and You Keep Me Hanging On are just crazy good, putting their own psychedelic spin on it. And finally, the last one, you've seen other videos, I picked versions of this lineup. Rockabye Baby, this one was lullaby versions of Van Halen. Yep, gotta have Van Halen. Just to see the video there, or the picture is kind of a spoof off the Panama video with Dave and the boombox flying by. Don't know if it has any Sammy songs. Nope, it's all David Lee Roth or Van Halen songs. And this came from the Summit Free Public Library. I guess they donated it to a thrift store in Summit, New Jersey. I have no clue where that's at. But that is it. This is my newest CD purchases video. I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and please hit that subscribe button, like this video, all that good stuff. And, feel free to share it. I would greatly appreciate it, and it helps support my channel. All right, everyone, take care. See you in the next video.